right, it's working. Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert with the Ted Show, and I'm here with Kay Goody from Kay Goody Collections. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We are here, blessed to be here at Celebration Titles Studio. The Citrus Club was unavailable, and Celebration picked up the slack. So big shout out to Amanda and Erica and everybody at Celebration. We've got the team behind us that are filming. You're going to hear much more about them. And then, of course, we have the one and only Kay Goody,
the natural hair guru.
You had to say that.
Yes,
I don't have enough hair to be able to say that. So we've been having a great time beforehand, getting to know each other a little bit. So welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. The crew, everybody, y'all been showing me love. I appreciate it.
That's right. Well, we love a good story, and that's the thing that I am excited to hear about. I can't even remember exactly how we connected. Maybe you do, and then you'll tell me. Or if you don't, it's okay. I'm not putting you on the spot.
Oh, I can tell it because it's a part of my testimony.
All right, so let's hear about you, and then let's talk about how we connected.
Okay, well, I am Kay Goody, the natural hair guru, and I know and I feel that nobody can check me. Okay, when it comes to natural hair, I know my thing. I am now a published author, public speaker. The list goes on. God is just blessing me. Natural hair is the culture of basically the urban culture, black folk. Okay? That's what it boils down to. Or black or brown folk, their hair texture has not been always well accepted in the community. So we're bringing more awareness to that and allowing people to actually be able to be themselves on every front.
So since we're talking about that, and then I want to go back to origin, but I'm fascinated. Does that mean that you're getting away from the wigs and the things like that, and you just want to, whatever your hair is?
Well, not so much. I focus on protective styling. So that really means giving your hair a break. A lot of times people in the natural community don't have a very big, vast knowledge of how to take care of their hair. And the fact is we're only third or fourth generation past slavery, so there's not very much curriculum to teach us because laws are just now being vetoed to allow African Americans, black people, native blacks, whatever you want to call it, the opportunity to wear their hair in its natural state. So this is an opportunity now to just redirect the narrative and the conversation as to what the idea of what beauty looks like.
I love that. See, I didn't know where we were going. I'm educated now.
Ew.
All right, so back to origin. So what did you want to be when you grew up? What was the, did you always want to be natural hair?
Not natural hair per se, but my mother, when I was young, she taught me how to braid. And she was very militant with how she taught me. And when I got good at it, I found it was something that I was naturally love with, and I said I wanted to be a hairstylist. But me being the first person to graduate from my family on both sides, it was made to believe that it wasn't a career. So I took another path. I became a street pharmaceutical representative.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And for about 8 years.
Wow.
And along that journey, that's the way that things went. I lived off the grid for so long. And until I was incarcerated, I did a year and a day in prison. And when I was in prison, the way that I was able to facilitate me being able to keep just regular soap was braiding hair. So I made a choice to say when I came home, this is what I was going to partake in. This is what I was going to pursue. I did go off track a little bit, but God let me back in.
Fascinating, because when I had to take a minute because I'm pretty sure I understood what you said right off the bat, but street pharmaceutical representative. I don't think I've heard that before, but it took me a minute, and I almost asked you which company you were with, and then I realized that would be real dumb question to ask.
That's the crazy part is that I did always have legitimate businesses going on at the same time.
Right.
I had a cleaning service, I had a food truck, I had all that stuff going on at the same time. But my pharmaceuticals is what facilitated the financing for it. So it's different for me as a business owner for me to literally, I can't do that to finance my business anymore. Right. So now I'm having to look at the other ventures and just allowing my business to bootstrap the financials of my business.
Because one of the things that we do with Ted's community, and I think that's such a challenge, when people come out of incarceration, we used to say they went away, Italian families did. Mm-hmm. When you come out of incarceration, there's this challenge to get a job, to get a career, to figure out what reality is now, because you were in a year and a day,
Mm-hmm.
and even that year is a big year. That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
big amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So how was it when you got out of incarceration? What were some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome those?
That's legitimately was one of the biggest challenges I came over, is the fact that I was not used to living on weekly salary.
Yeah.
I was not used to waiting for me to, I was used to immediate gratification. And then when I stepped into the workforce, because I had the Scarlet Letter, it limited my options. So no matter the fact that I did go, I am college educated, no matter how well spoken I am, once they dig a little bit deeper, some people just didn't want to see past that.
Right.
So I ended up going into telemarketing, and I did that for a while, and I did very well with that industry.
I bet you never met a stranger. That's how I feel.
Oh
like,
no!
right?
I mean, I was a closer. You hear me?
I totally know. You are a closer.
I literally I ran 2 shifts from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And literally when I quit, the gentleman had to hire 3 people to fix what I had left behind.
Wow.
But it was at that moment when I decided I was no longer going to work for anybody else, because he came to me and asked me, well, can you train my night manager how to close? Now, mind you, the night manager had been in the industry for well over 10 years.
Wow.
You know, and he had a tendency to steal my deals. So
Wow,
why
like
would
that.
I come to you? And you know, if he's always trying to down check me, why would I come to him and try to teach him? And I felt at that point, you're not gonna slave me.
Right.
Because I'm already working 2 shifts. I'm already here 12 hours a day, and you want me to stay extra to train somebody else how to do a job they should be competent to do already?
Well, he probably never expected you to have the chutzpah to get out of there or to say no.
Well, when he said to me, his words to me were, if you don't like it, open your own company. So I did.
You did. Did you
Yes.
open your own telemarketing company?
Yes, I did.
Well, so what were you? I love that. So I did telemarketing in high school a little bit.
Uh-huh.
So I know that is, and I've had call centers, and I know that is a very challenging job.
Well, that's the thing. I couldn't do it because regardless of the fact I worked in pharmaceuticals, I always have character and conscience.
Right.
And what I found in the call center industry is the deals that we were closing, the fulfillment packages that we were closing, that when we give it to the customer, it's not what they say it is.
Right.
And that's not what I stand for. I can't legitimately do that. I didn't do that when I was in the streets. So
Right.
why I'm going to do it when I'm working legitimate money? That just didn't make sense to me.
Correct.
So I've tried to shift gears into going to customer service with the call center world, and it just did not. It did not manifest.
Dude, but
for
you
me.
had your own company. I think that's what happens a lot as you get out. You realize, okay, I've got the talent, but then people don't make that leap. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to take it to the next step.
Yeah.
And even though that part didn't work out for you,
Mm-hmm.
isn't that a big deal for you? I mean, it must have been so amazing.
It was. It definitely. I can tell you fully. It helped shape where I am. I think I didn't realize how realistic that every step is intentional. Everything that I went through prior to now literally positioned me to where I am right now. Even down to me ministering at a church. I mean, when I was out there in the streets, I was actually a minister. I was ordained for ministry while I was in the trap house. Okay.
So how did you were still ministering to people, yet you had a kind of a dual life, right?
Well, I can't even say a dual life because I never chose to say that no matter where I'm at, I can't talk about God. While they're in the corner hitting the crack pipe, I still talked about God.
Right.
I still understand and know that.
So welcome back from that commercial break. So we were talking about ministry, and you had stuff you were still doing street pharmaceuticals, but you were still ministering to people.
Yes, and I think that was what set me apart, is because I didn't treat people, my customers, as if they were unlike me. I treated them as if they were exactly what they were, the customers.
Right.
And I treated my pharmaceutical company as a business. And that's what set me apart. And I literally know, even when I was stabbed, when I was in the hospital.
Oh, I didn't know you were stabbed.
Yes, my kid's father stabbed me 16 times while I was sleeping.
Oh my God. No,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This is after incarceration or prior?
It was before incarceration.
Wow.
And that's what actually led into the incarceration. Because if that had not happened, the law enforcement wouldn't know who I was.
Wow.
I was very well cloaked. And it was because of that, it made news. So it didn't leave me room for any type of privacy after that. And
Wow.
what was the most fantastic thing about that is what you would expect to have happened, what you would expect was to have been my family collating or congregating around me, and it wasn't. It was my customers. My customers came and sat with me 24/7 to make sure that I came out of that alive.
Wow.
Hello, Queen. And
I love her.
yes,
She's awesome.
And that's really what set me apart. So when I decided and determined that I was no longer going to distribute, a large majority of the people stepped away from that lifestyle. One, in fact, is a traveling minister right now. His family travels around singing gospel music. Another one of them owns a bar locally out in Kissimmee. It's a lot of prominent people that I used to deal with, and they no longer live on that dark side anymore because they don't have that type of connection that they had with me.
How did you manage to be out and then probably still surrounded by it, but not let it take your life over again?
I'm not gonna lie, I did.
Yeah.
I did. When I have a lot of other underlayers, and when it seemed like things were not going the way that I expected them to, I did jump back off the porch for a small part of time, and then the Lord sent me my husband. And he, at that moment, he was accepting of it for a certain point of time, but it came over cumbersome for him. And he was like, "You're so talented with hair. Why don't you just do hair?" And at that moment, I felt so submitted, if you will. I felt that he could support me, and that if things didn't go right, that he would be able to have my back. So it was and honestly, it was the first time that I had dated somebody that they saw something in me other than a come up.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and at that moment, I just decided, and I just stopped cold turkey and started back doing hair.
How did you stop cold turkey?
I had money saved,
Ah.
and I'm just a hustler, no matter what it is. I'm always going to make sure that I can eat. I've always had to take care of myself, so it's never been a situation that I was able to have that safety net.
Yeah.
So, they tell
How long
you.
ago was that? I'm curious. What time frame are we talking that you just quit
I
cold
phased
turkey?
out probably the end of 2015, beginning of
Okay,
2016.
so a number of years. That's amazing.
Yeah. And the first year I did just straight underground, and it blew up. I made 50 grand the first year.
Wow.
So that's when I prayed on it, and the Lord said, go ahead and get it. So I opened up an LLC. And when I opened up the LLC, I did everything, as much research and studying as I could. I opened up my Dun & Bradstreet. I opened up my merchant accounts. And because you have to keep in mind, I've been off the grid all of my life.
Right.
So there was no credit history. So for me, as a business owner, I didn't have the liberty to say to the bank, okay, I'm opening this business. This is the logistics. This is a business plan. This is what's going to happen.
They couldn't check you out.
Oh,
there
no,
was
there was
nothing to
nothing
check
to check.
out. Yeah. Yeah.
So the Lord is just so magnificent that I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw an advertisement for business class. So I took it. It was in Ocala and I lived in Metro West. But I said, I've driven further to pick up a package, so why not? So I went out there and I took the first class, and they had already started their Building a Better Business series, and it was a accelerated business course. They had already chosen their team as to who was going to be participating in it. The actual curator for that saw so much potential in me that he had allowed me to sneak in the back door. And this is supposed to be something that was only for that county residents, and I was coming all the way from Orlando.
Wow.
It was a 2-hour drive there, 2-hour drive back. I had to do it every Thursday, and at the end of it, we were able to do a Shark Tank type of situation. And it was a $5,000 payoff. So this was what I saw as my way to bootstrap my business, get a car, make sure that I'm set for the following year. So I did it.
Amazing.
I won. And that's where I took off. I started to learn about advertising, marketing. I didn't even get on Instagram or social media to the end of 2017.
But your business is pictures are good for your business, right? To see how, but I'm still fascinated by the process because I think it's so hard in any circumstances without the past that you have to start a company, to get an LLC, to understand the marketing of it. I mean, it's a very difficult journey, which is why a lot of people don't take it or make that leap. So you must have had some sort of, did you grow up in a household where self-confidence was around, or is that something you had to develop?
It was definitely something I had to develop. And I grew up in a household with a single parent who was also a functioning addict. So I had to, from a very young age, learn how to survive. So a large part of my life, I lived in survival mode.
Sure.
So it wasn't like I had any other options. It was either you grind or you don't eat.
Right.
So that was just always been my thing. I mean, I started with entrepreneurship very young. When I was in elementary school, I used to sell candy to my classmates, so that way I can come home and make sure I had groceries for my brothers and I to eat.
So you had a gift at an early age.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are born with it. So you must have had something, one of those gifts.
I say it's favor, and favor is not fair.
I love that word.
Because at the end of the day, if you look at the timeline for what my life is, I'm not supposed to be where I am.
Right.
But I'm grateful that I continue to push through. And I think that's what separates me from other people is I did not give up. Regardless of what I came up against, regardless of who told me no. I mean, family members told me I was stupid. I could just do hair at the house. Nobody had to know I was making money. And I saw something so much bigger than that. The Lord gave me such bigger, really decided to look in the market and see what was lacking.
Yeah.
And what in the market was lacking was a narrative to a woman transitioning from from chemically treated hair into the natural realm. And people don't realize that natural hair is not a hairstyle, it's a lifestyle change. So there was basically no guide, no headway. Right. And then I also realized, again, we're only third or fourth generation past slavery. So when I went to look for authors of books that were written by Black people about their life, I had gone through most of them before I got out of high school.
Right.
So there was really, like, what else could I learn? I want to learn from people that are actually in my field, and there was nothing. So I decided to make a journal, an opportunity for a mother, an aunt, a sister to share their journey with their loved ones. Because a lot of times the Black community doesn't leave behind a lineage or any type of narrative as to what their life was. A lot of times you end up estranged before they pass on. Right. So you need to have some sort of communication so that way the generations that come behind you know what it is. Children don't learn, they imitate. So if you're not giving them an actual narrative of what is a good imitation, they're going to end up finding their own devices. And unfortunately, my culture is not riding in the right devices. So I think it's important to me to use my platform to show people actionable tools that you can use, that even in spite of what I've been through, I'm still able to make it. So you're 3 steps ahead of the game to me, because you haven't been to prison. You haven't had a lifestyle that left you off the grid. You have all these things in front of you. So when somebody stands in front of me and says, "Oh, I'm broke," for what? There's no reason you should be broke. You could sell air. I sold air. I sold oxygen. So there's nothing that you can
really
say
did
me.
sell air.
Yes, I did. There's a woman out here. She sells oxygen at the oxygen bars. You see at the club. And I worked for her.
Yeah, nobody can pull that over on you. I like that.
She was mad when I quit too.
So tell me what's next for you. What do you want to do next? You want to speak more? Obviously.
Yes, well, that's
you're passionate, which is what you need.
For sure. Philanthropy is what God called me to. So I'm actually hosting a community activist or community outreach event January 25th, which is actually my birthday. It's going to be held in Midway, Florida, which is actually one of the oldest standing Black-owned cities. Mm-hmm. This year they celebrate 100 years as being a Black-owned community.
Wow.
So I'm just wanting to bring in people from all different walks of life to show them that this does exist. And unfortunately, the stigma is still there. We still have segregation in economic value, and it's important for us to recognize that.
Right.
And even whether you're Black or not, you know what's going on. So it's time for you to step up and do something different. Otherwise, the generations that come behind us are going to be lacking.
So tell me about where people can find the product really fast before we start to head out, because I think it's important for people to know you brought something, and I want them to. You brought your book, which I love the cover of it,
and
which
my
I want to show.
The quench oil.
Well, look at that pretty cover. I mean, I know it's backwards, but it's still a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful color.
Yes, you can find me at K Goody Collection. That's KC. And you understand?
Right.
Spell collection
What's
with
K
K.
Goody?
K Goody.
Just give me the.
My first name, and a long time ago, somebody told me that everything about me is good, so I'm gonna call you K Goody.
I like it.
Yeah, so
I'm not gonna go.
So we'll just leave it where it's at.
And then what's this? What's this right here?
This is my quenching oil. This is my best-selling product. It grows hair from anywhere, and you can use it on any type of hair texture. You can use it on eczema. You can use it on just about everything. It is an oil-based Olive oil base with 6 essential oils, and I don't cheat you out your money. You're going to get a milliliter of each essential oil, so it's heavily concentrated. And I mean, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. Period.
All right, so we're going to share all of Kay Goody's contact information, how you can reach out to her, how you can learn more about her book, her life, talk to her about speaking and motivating and inspiring, and of course, talk to her about natural hair.
Yes.
Right? All right, so we love to give a shout out to mentors, show gratitude, speak gratitude on the show. So can you do that? Give a thank you maybe to 1 or 2 people who've made an impact on your life.
Okay, I definitely have to give a shout out to Miss Sonia Rogers, because she is the one who told me to talk to Mr.
Sonia.
That she has really, I don't think she realizes how much she has impacted me. When I first decided to get my braiding license and go legit, she believed in me from day one. I mean, she always calls me and pours into me words of encouragement. And of course, I gotta thank the Kay Goody squad, the family.
The family.
Because without you guys' support, I would not be able to make this happen. And all the sponsors who are helping me make this community outreach event happen is January 25th at the Midway Safe Harbor out in Sanford.
Fantastic. So we're going to tag that too.
Okay.
Let's make sure we give them that information afterward. You're a joy. I had a great time with you. I
Thank
learned
you.
a lot. Probably asked a lot of dumb questions.
Nothing's dumb. The questions
people,
are dumb that the ones you didn't
That's
ask.
correct. People are going to ask me what trap means, so I had to ask that because, listen, I don't know. You think I would know. I'm not as smart as I look.
Hopefully we open up the doors to a newer audience.
I love that.
You
You're
are
a
gonna
joy. You're obviously blessed. I love the word favor.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you, Sonia, for introducing us. You're awesome too. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for the commercial break. You guys stuck with us.
Yes.
We love you. Mwah. We'll be back tomorrow.